This reading is from the Gospel of John. It's chapter 2, verses 1 to 11. There was a wedding feast at Cana in Galilee. The mother of Jesus was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited. When they ran out of wine, since the wine provided for the wedding was all finished, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." Jesus said, "Woman, why turn to me? My hour has not come yet." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." There were 6 stone water jars standing there, meant for the ablutions that are customary among the Jews. Each could hold 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water," and they filled them to the brim. "Draw some out now," he told them, "and take it to the steward." They did this. The steward tasted the water, and it had turned into wine. Having no idea where it came from, only the servants who had drawn the water knew, the steward called the bridegroom and said, "People generally serve the best wine first and keep the cheaper sort till the guests have plenty to drink. But you have kept the best wine till now." This was the first of the signs given by Jesus. It was given at Cana in Galilee. He let his glory be seen, and his disciples believed in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. My friends, it has been done quite a few times that this Sunday with this story of the wedding at Cana is used as a time to talk about Christian marriage. And you take up the whole Sunday liturgy sometimes, talking about and praying about marriage. But I think it's important, and I want to do that this morning, that we understand that the story of the wedding at Cana is not primarily a story about Christian marriage. Actually, when we know how the church has grown through the years, marriage took quite a while to really become a focus of church life and ministry. Right? It was 1,000 years almost in our Western tradition before we really focused on marriage as a sacrament. So when we read this passage, we should not be reading it in the first place. I mean, I use it at weddings, yes, but we should not be using it in the first place, interpreting it in the first place, with regard to what we now call marriage. But the first thing about it, and you see that when you read the first reading, where, what do we have? We have from Isaiah, "About Zion I will not be silent, about Jerusalem I will not grow weary, until her integrity shines out like the dawn and her salvation flames like a torch." The nations will see your integrity, all the kings your glory, and you will be called by a new name. You are to be a crown of splendor in the hand of the Lord. You shall be called my delight, and your land the wedded. So the concept of marriage and so on for Isaiah, and I want to suggest for John as well, is in the first place a reference to the ministry of Jesus, because it's the first thing that happens in the Jesus story for John, that this call to remember that the kind of relationship that Yahweh wanted with his people was a relationship which can be described as a marriage. Right? And therefore, the image, the metaphor of marriage is meant to inform our understanding of spirituality and life. And the great saints, Teresa of Avila, John of the Cross, they've all taken that up in their own spiritual development. Nuns are sometimes referred to as brides of Christ. And we heckle, at least we as younger priests and seminarians used to heckle some nuns when they made their final vows. How was it? And so on. And that's ridiculing the concept of the spiritual marriage. But the spiritual marriage is real. It's meant to be a part of our spiritual development in the sense that our spiritual life is meant to call us into deeper and deeper intimacy with our God. Say that again. Our spiritual life is meant to call us into a deeper and deeper intimacy with our God, you know. And there's a beautiful expression in Isaiah as well. Come to the wedding so that my joy may be in you and your joy be complete. You know, come to the wedding. John picks that up, of course, in chapter 10, verse 10. So the question that arises out of this text is, do you really understand your relationship with God to be a relationship of growing, deepening love, the same way that people get married and they are meant to go into a deeper and deeper love? And that's one of the tragedies of the current state of marriage, that we do not see that. You know, and we haven't been able as a church to convince the world of that either. So the world is going into all kinds of nonsense, you know. If you really understand, you have to make a distinction between the wedding and the marriage. And I'm sure that Ruthina could talk a lot better on that than I can, as how you get married, yes, and there's all the joy, you know, your family glad that you get married, they're glad to get you off their hand. They're glad that you find somebody. That's just how people think about it. But if you're serious, you begin to realize, hey, the two of us are together now. Children come along and so on. Well, even if children don't come along, you have a sense that there's more to this than just the two of us getting married and getting what some people call a license for sex. No, it's not about that. It's about the deepening of the relationship in and through the physical and all the other aspects of marriage. You come to a deeper sense. And I always think sometimes of two people walking around. Well, I'm not too sure how you would describe it here in St. George's. Maybe walking along the Carenage, although I don't see too many people walking along the Carenage. The botanical gardens. I've seen people going up into the botanical gardens on a weekend and just walking, you know. But in the walking, you have a sense of a communion, of a relationship, of a deepening. And that is not necessarily something that happens because two people starry-eyed and in love with each other. The best of that, and I know there are people here in Grenada who are living that, where age is getting the better of you, yes, but it is drawing you deeper into the communion that is love. So when, in the story of the wedding feast of Cana, water into wine, it's the water of your relationship with God being turned into the wine of gladness. Can you understand that? Do you have any sense, as you live the Christian life, that you are really seeing, as you grow older, the better part? You know, you have kept the best wine till now. You know, and I'm looking forward to that myself, you know, because I say to myself, okay, God has given me a sense of the wine getting better. My sense of the presence of God in not just in my life, but in the whole world. You know, I mean, gosh, some people are so quick to see hell, and no. What I recognize is that it's expanding. The universe is expanding as it should, but in the midst of that expansion, there's a tremendous challenge from God to love and to be loved as the world unfolds. So, friends, I want to invite you in reading this gospel today to recognize that deeper meaning is there for all of us. It's a deeper meaning there for us in terms of our personal relationships, but it also a deeper meaning there for us in terms of the universe that is unfolding as it should, and where we dare to trust and to hope that God is in the midst of all of that. In this year of Jubilee, there's so many things that could make you despair, but there are also so many things that make you say, wow, who would have thought, that today we would be seeing something happening in the Middle East, which can have consequences that are amazing, I want to suggest to all of you, especially those of you who are thinking that because of the floods and the fires, the world is being consumed by fire, somebody told me. Because when we think of what is going on in the world, in fact, the world is opening up to a deeper dispensation because the best wine is yet to come.